Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. I'm Bear with preparedness. If you're new here, just go ahead and subscribe. We're going to try and teach you how to not die in this stupid world that we live in. And if you're not new here, you know what to do. Share the show with somebody you love, okay? Okay, Bear. All right, good talk, everybody. Thanks, Bear. You're welcome, guys. All right, the brief, 19 September 22, Monday. Don't you hate it when your beard gets stuck in your Nagoya antenna for your two-way radio? It's the worst. Hurricane Fiona has caused a total blackout across Puerto Rico and has increased danger from flooding and mudslides. I don't know, you like a mudslide? I like a mudslide.
I used to. Now I just go straight Bailey's.
Roger that. Yeah, on occasion. I'm usually a bourbon guy, but you know, the occasional mudslide, frozen mudslide, pretty good.
Nice.
This is almost exactly 5 years after Hurricane Maria left far too many on the island without electricity for months on end. But this time, officials believe power will be restored much more efficiently. I'll say this, I hope so, but y'all are so awesome that you have supported Grindstone Ministries, our disaster relief ministry, on 34 missions in the last 3-4 years. Before that, I was a FEMA contractor, and I stopped being a FEMA contractor because FEMA's terrible at their job. And rather than working for the Federal Emergency Management Agency, we decided to just start a ministry and do what they're incapable of doing. All that to say, I've seen the response, governmental response to hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, wildfires, and it's oftentimes not very good. Now, that doesn't mean that the people that are working for these alphabet soup agencies themselves are bad people. It just means that the red tape that they are forced to jump through in order to make stuff happen is astounding. I had an Army Corps of Engineers inspector after Hurricane Katrina try to disallow me from cutting a limb off of a downed tree because I did not have a hard hat, ANSI Z87 certified safety glasses, steel toe boots, chainsaw chaps, a reflective vest, and a 4-inch sleeve on my shirt on to cut one branch. Oh, and hearing protection. Now, I told this guy to pound sand because I made my first $1 million with a steel chainsaw. I owned a timber company as a youngin', back when I was a young man and there was no white in my beard. And so I don't know everything there is to know about chainsaws and trees, but I do know a thing or two. That's the kind of stuff that the Federal Emergency Management Agency has to deal with versus a civilian just being the hands and the feet of the Most High. You can get a lot more stuff done. In fact, in Kentucky, after the tornadoes there, which our lovely president referred to as hurricanes, thank you, Joseph Robin Biden Jr., y'all provided 300 tons of food that mission, to the point where we overwhelmed the emergency management warehouse where the food was being kept, and they had to call in the National Guard to come protect it and inventory it because they couldn't keep up. They couldn't keep up with our capability, you and us together. So I don't have high hopes for officials anywhere being able to recover quickly from a hurricane, especially in Puerto Rico, 5 years after that island was hit by Maria. And there's still people who are displaced from Maria there. There's still areas that don't have power, don't have homes, don't have sewage there. So we'll see. This is the third Atlantic hurricane of the season, and it is expected to impact the Dominican Republic and possibly Bermuda, Bahamas, come on pretty mama, Key Largo, Montego, baby why don't we go down to Kokomo. We'll get there fast, but then we'll take it slow. That's where I want to go. Dud, you want to go? Way down to Kokomo?
That's where I want to go. Way down to Kokomo. Bermuda.
Thank you. Yeah, you're much better at the lower octaves than the higher octaves, but I dig it. Appreciate that. So it is supposed to steer clear of the mainland United States. However, We have a different type of storm on the mainland United States. The border crisis continues. To prove a point, the governor of Texas, Governor Abbott, sent 2 buses carrying immigrants to Washington, D.C., just outside of Vice President Kamala Harris's residence. Quote, Harris claims our border is secure and denies the crisis. We're sending migrants to her backyard to call on the Biden administration to do its job and secure the border, end quote, Governor Greg Abbott stated. Just the day before, Florida sent 50 immigrants to the wealthy Martha's Vineyard, a summer haven for elite folks and home to the most exclusive real estate in the United States. The 50 migrants is in contrast to the 1,500 to 2,000 illegal daily crossings observed just in the Del Rio sector. Democrats called the move cruel, and 125 National Guard members were deployed to deal with what was called a, quote, humanitarian crisis. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis scoffed, quote, the minute even a small fraction of what those border towns deal with every day is brought to their front door, they go berserk. And they're so upset that this is happening. And it just shows you that their virtue signaling is fraud. End quote. Just less than 1 year ago, Keith Chatanover, a progressive county commissioner, stated that he, quote, would love, quote, to see Martha's Vineyard become a home for immigrants. DeSantis spokesperson Taryn Fenske, Fenske, weird names, just said last week, quote, states like Massachusetts, New York, and California will better facilitate the care of these individuals who they have invited into our country by incentivizing illegal immigration through their designation as sanctuary states and support for the Biden administration's open border policies, end quote. So what actually happened? After the migrants arrived at the wealthy island, a very white and a very wealthy gaggle of AP Spanish class students was sent to the scene to help translate, presumably for extra credit. Then, only a few days after the migrants' arrival, after being hosted by a church, the migrants were shipped off to Joint Base Camp Cape Cod on Friday, presumably just in time to clear the religious space for weekend services. While the wealthy residents claimed they couldn't possibly have the resources to care for these few immigrants, reports surfaced that Edgartown's budget surplus alone could have easily funded an entire year of luxury hotel rooms for the people who arrived. None of the notable wealthy individuals on the island responded to inquiries about whether they would help house the immigrants either. This whole thing, I've been getting this question a lot over the last few days on Patreon, on live streams, and emails. Hey Bear, what do you think about this debacle in Martha's Vineyard? Mostly, what effect does it have? You know, people will say, well, it's raising awareness and it's holding the Democrats' feet to the fire. They created this problem, they should deal with it. Yeah, it's a PR stunt, man. It's a PR stunt. Abbott and DeSantis, both of whom I care for much more deeply than any of their Democratic friends, you know, their co-workers. It's a debacle, man. It's a PR stunt. What did it actually accomplish? Nothing. The use of taxpayer dollars in Texas and Florida to relocate a small group of individuals to make a point. Sure. But Abbott has already put together his own version of Border Patrol. I think he should focus more on that. Yes, yeah, we should shine light on the situation. Okay, but it didn't accomplish anything other than get a whole bunch of conservatives spun up and a whole bunch of liberals spun up. And at the end of the day, they're both the same wings of the same shitty bird, right? Like, who was that comedian that used to say that Congress people should have to wear like NASCAR outfits?
Was that George Carlin, I think?
It might have been Carlin, yeah. I agree 100%. They're the same bought and paid for politicians. Well, what's going to be done about it? Probably nothing. Probably nothing, because at the end of the day, Biden is still the president, asterisk. To be frank with you, I don't care all that much about it. Now, I do know, I've done a lot of work in South Texas, wind turbines. You drive through South Texas, You see them giant fan things? There's a good chance I helped put them there. And I know a lot of these border towns, they are suffering immeasurably under this illegal immigration crisis. They should do something about it. What? I don't know. Elect good representatives in your state, deal with the problem. But sending them to Martha's Vineyard and to DC isn't really dealing with the problem, because the Biden administration is not going to move on this. They're not going to change course. It's not a popularity contest anymore. I think that's something that a lot of people miss from the 2020 elections. So many people talk about how the elections were stolen. Yeah, orient on that fact. It's not a popularity contest anymore. They don't care if you approve of them or not. They don't care if you voted for them or not, or if you will vote for them or not, because the system is not dependent upon your vote anymore. They're going to do what they want to do. And so if you're in one of those border towns going through one of these crises, you have a decision to make. You can stay and fight the good fight, or you can strategically relocate. For me, and this is probably going to be wildly unpopular with a bunch of people, and that's okay. I'm not here to tickle your eardrums. I'm here to speak truth as I understand it. For me, there's lots of other reasons why not to live in South Texas. There's one natural lake in Texas. One. The rest are man-made. So water's a thing, right? In many areas, not all, but in many areas of Texas, population density sucks. Then you have the fact that Texas is turning purple. Thanks, Californians. And a lot of people are like, well, Barry, you can't talk all that trash about Texas. I can. There's a county there named after my family. Has been for 200 years. So I can say whatever the hell I want to about Texas. I've lived and worked all over Texas. And I like the Texas ethos. I like what Texas is about. I don't like what it's becoming. We actually relocated from Texas to Oklahoma about 5 years ago for all the reasons and more stated. It was just untenable to stay there, to say nothing of the cost of living, going through the roof in many areas. There are other advantages, though, to Texas. No state income tax, that's a big deal, right? So 10% of your income you get to keep rather than give it away to the state. There's a good amount of economic freedom there. There's good schools there. But it's not the bastion of conservatism that everybody thinks that it is. It's the demography of Texas is changing. And so the question for you is, and I can't tell you what to do, you know much better in your situation what you should do than I do, but is it worth staying and fighting the good fight, or do you need to strategically relocate? Also, there's a fly on the phone, so I don't know if they can see me or not, but that's okay. It's probably worth... Have you ever gotten an up-close visual of a fly that good before? Can you see him? Is he on the camera?
I don't know if he popped up on screen or not.
He's gone now. He was like right on the edge of the lens. And so, valuing your time this morning, that's the brief. It's a brief today. It's Monday. Also, go check out the video I just dropped on YouTube about optimism. I think it's really important for mindset to get your headspace right. Because as all these indicators continue to come, right? You know, did you see the president did this, and Abbott did this, and DeSantis did this, and Ukraine, and Russia, and Taiwan, and China, and BRICS, and the dollar, and yep, 100%. I am aware. It is my job to be aware of those things. Remember that the reason we prep is to maintain normalcy for the people that we love. And in order to maintain normalcy, you have to establish normalcy. So be careful what you're putting into your eyeballs and your ears every day, because fear is abnormal. Stress is abnormal. Anxiety is abnormal. Build a life worth living first, and then perpetuate that. So while we should 100% be aware of all this stuff that's happening in the world, it shouldn't drive us mad. It shouldn't rob you of your joy. So go check out that video. Now, that's the brief for today. If you're on Patreon, you have the links. You have the written brief. If you're not on Patreon, you don't. Super duper shout out to our friends at Patreon. You guys and girls are awesome. You are the economic engine of the Bear Nation, and we couldn't and wouldn't do this show without you. So if you want to join the Patreon family, there's a link in the description of every live stream and video. It's $5 per month. It's the best $5 you can spend on the internet, bar none. Incredibly high value, exclusive content, posting at Patreon all the time. The bulk of the work that we do is at Patreon. It's not here on YouTube. It's also not in Utah. It's at Patreon. So with that, if you don't like it when we talk about how to support the show, here's your cue. Beat feet, skedaddle, get out of here. Have a blessed day. Shalom. Also, Cottage Farm, bless you for a $200 super chat. Bear Independent Optimism, love the real life unveiling of the Prepper Go trailer. Thank you for sharing. Oh yeah, feature length. Cottage Farm, bless you. Thank you. Feature length video, about an hour long on the bug out trailer, posted on Patreon. Scroll back. I think it posted at the beginning of last week. Scroll back to that video, watch that video. It is unfiltered, unedited, raw. This is what's actually on our bug out trailer, which is an excellent system for suburbanites. In fact, it was a great system for suburbia because it lived in a garage. It no longer lives in a garage. And so if you go watch that video, you can see some of the pitfalls to having a system that would be considered weather tight because it was in a garage, but now is outside and isn't actually weather tight. And you have the joy of watching my wife react to how I put this system together because she knew that it existed. She wasn't aware of the particulars. So it's a really good video. It's feature length. We go through bin by bin, item by item, what we have, why we have it, what's the philosophy of use behind that item, what is the bug out trailer, how do you use it, yada, yada, yada. That's worth $5 right there. So that's on Patreon. Thank you, Cottage Farm. You're awesome. Now, refugemedical.com. It's National Preparedness Month. Truth in Advertising. I am the founder and CEO of refugemedical.com.
Dun, dun.
Ba-da-ba. So, Refuge was started in my barn right there in May 2020. So we're 2.5 years into this sucker. And we started Refuge because I couldn't find a good first aid kit. I could find mediocre first aid kits, but I couldn't find a good first aid kit, and I wanted a good first aid kit. So I made a first aid kit for me, spent $1,000 my own money, prototyped it, and I was like, yeah, this is a pretty good kit. You know, I'd like to get some outside expert opinion on this, so I sent some to Air Force Pararescuemen, I sent some to Special Forces, United States Army Special Forces, the Green Berets, and both of them wrote back and they're like, these things are badass. Like, how do we get more of these? Hadn't thought about that. And then I posted on Patreon, hey, what do you guys think about like doing some medical kit stuff? And they were like, yeah, dude, let's do medical kit stuff. And so we started doing medical kit stuff. Our stuff is handmade. It's made in America. It's guaranteed forever. It's on 4 continents with all branches electively of the U.S. Armed Forces. 51 lives to date have been saved. Refuge Training, which is our training division, has trained over 2,000 people in the fine art of how to not die in the last 1.5 years, out there on the road getting after it. So we take this stuff super seriously because we understand that every day that we show up to work, we have the potential literally to keep somebody alive. And we have 51 times. And so the value that we bring here is not just that it's the best first aid kit on the planet, it's that we've done all the work so that if you don't know what kit you need to get for your tactical cool guy gear, we do. We already figured that out. Like we have the kit you need. If you are a school administrator and you don't know what kits you need to put in the hallways, we have those. Public access kits, bleeding control kits, school nurse, we have those. If you work in an industry with OSHA oversight, AKA all of them, and you need OSHA compliant first aid kits, we have those. Why? Because all the other OSHA compliant first aid kits suck. They're terrible. How do I know? I've used them. I've had to render aid with them on really bad injuries. There's nothing in there. They're garbage. So we made one that checks all the boxes in order to be considered OSHA compliant, and then checks all of our boxes too in order to be considered a good first aid kit. And so we have some dwell time in this industry. We make real first aid kits, not a bunch of Chinesium garbage. And so if you need a first aid kit And I would suggest that if you have blood in your body and breath in your lungs, you need a good first aid kit, just like you need insurance on your car. I would suggest you check out Refuge Medical. Rave reviews, 5-star reviews on all the kits. We ship all over the world. You can use promo code BEARNATION for free shipping, which in today's world is not nothing. And I might, for your consideration, the Bear Fact 3.0. This is the Bear Fact 3.0. There are many like it, but this one is mine. You can tell because it's dirty and used. It's about this big. I've got a soft T tourniquet, Committee on TCCC recommended windlass tourniquet on the side. I got a set of shears on the side. As you can see, it's MOLLE compatible, PALS weapon. You can hook this to your rucksack, throw it in your day pack, put it on your war belt, mount it on your headrest, whatever you want to do, right? The ballistic nylon on the outside gives you your portability and your durability. You pop this thing open, you grab the red handle right here, and you pull the inner out. The inner gives you all your capability. And as you can see right there, loud and proud, made in the USA. Unapologetically made in the USA. You grab this red tab right here, and this is designed, it can be done with one hand if needed, because we've had 2 people save their lives with this kit that didn't have their other hand. Got blown off or amputated. Pop it open. Inside of here, in prioritization of care, you have everything you need to work the March algorithm, which is massive bleeding, airway and respiratory, circulation, head injury, hypothermia, and then everything else. And so we've got a 6-inch North American Rescue pressure bandage here. We got a Sharpie. We've got a Cat Gen 7 windlass tourniquet. We've got a pair of gloves. We've got our medical tape right here, which is Velcroed in. You can rip it out if you need to. In the back, so that's your massive bleeding. In the back, we have what we call the stack. So you've got a set of North American Rescue shears right here, good shears. Nasal pharyngeal airway for maintaining a patent airway. Not 1, but 2, not compact, but full size chest seals. 2 5x9 gauze pads, because if I need big gauze, I need it now. If I need little gauze, I've got time. Also, a lot of the time, there's going to be blood and viscous fluid when you have penetrations to the pleural space, holes in the box, and you want to wipe that away. The chest seal comes with a little piece of gauze inside of here, but it's a little piece of gauze. I might need one bigger. So 2 5x9 gauze pads. And this one lives in the wild. So if you're wondering, like, I wonder how it holds up. This has been rained on, it's been dunked in the water, it's been out in the sun, like it lives in the wild. And this is what the components look like. And I dive into this thing regularly on camera with you. So yours is probably gonna hold up better than mine does, because I'm in this thing all the time. And a burn tech dressing, because burns is a very common wound modality that is oftentimes not addressed in a real first aid kit. That's the stack.
People don't understand, like, oh, if you're running, you trip and fall, that now is road rash.
Yeah, or you're running, you trip and fall, and you get a stick stuck in you.
Yep.
If it's in the leg, it could be arterial. If it's in the box, you could have trouble breathing now. A penetrating chest wound, not great. That's what chest seals are for. Then down here in the bottom, pull this out. We got our quick clot rolled gauze for wound packing. And then we've got our survival blanket, North American Rescue compressed gauze for wound packing, triangle bandage, a roll of Curlex, rolled gauze. We've got fold flat duct tape right here in the bag as well, because it sticks to everything, including blood, sweat, and tears. And then in the back, we've got 2x2, 4x4, and 5x9 gauze pads, an eye pad, and an eye shield as well. So it's a comprehensive trauma medicine first aid kit. It's not a boo-boo kit. This is not for when Susie falls off the bike. This is for, oh shit, bleeding. You can get all this stuff at refugemedical.com. Your promo code is BEARNATION for free shipping. Appreciate y'all. Shout out to the Refuge training team. They're on their way home from the Pacific Northwest, where they kicked a bunch of ass, ran a bunch of new people through the Responder 1, Responder 2, and Responder 3 series of classes. Made a bunch of new responders. So thank you to everybody who went to those classes. You guys are awesome. I saw the class pics, and it looks like instructor Twitch really got after it. Have you seen those class pics?
Yes.
Oh, dude.
It's ridiculous.
Oh, dude. Like, oh, dude. It's awesome. Let's see. Shield bearer of faith. I don't know if you guys could see that, but look at that.
Yep.
Look at that.
You gotta do like the all the Instagrammers. They put their hand up behind it so it can focus. So it's blocking out your face.
Did it focus?
No, it didn't focus. It was on.
How's that?
There it is.
Okay,
Perfect.
good. So they got some.
Yep.
They got some. And you might be asking yourself, why do I want to go to class and get wet and dirty and all that? Because when trauma happens, at a minimum, one vehicle has violently slammed into another vehicle. At a minimum. There's radiator fluid, engine oil, blood, any fluids that were inside of the car, bottled water, coffee, all that. There's stuff everywhere. It's a mess. You need to not be focused on the fact that it's a mess, right? Oh, there's some hydraulic fluid on my knee. Who cares? This person's dying, right? And so what Refuge training does is, in a controlled environment, bring you right up to the line of overwhelm so you can find out how you function under stress while actually learning how to render life-saving aid. There's not another training program like it that we know of. And that's not me stating that. I now have four former Green Berets who have taken the class a minimum of one time, some of them several times, who have all pulled us aside and said, this training is excellent. We don't know of another class on the face of the earth where civilians can get this level of medical training. And it's designed to be that for you. And it's force multiplication, because you own the training kit. When you leave, it's your training kit. You are issued a training kit when you come to class. It's yours when you leave. You take that and the literature back to your team, your tribe, your mag, your family, your church, your business, your school, whoever. And now you are empowered to go train the trainer, right? Like, we're training the trainer. Now you go train everybody else. Force multiplication. So shout out to Refuge Training. Our crew there, a bunch of awesome guys out getting after it. If you want to come to class, you can visit refugetraining.com. And Grindstone Ministries, bless y'all. You guys are awesome. Grindstone Ministries is a disaster relief and construction ministry. And because we do construction stuff, a couple years ago, we were working at a place called Bethany House, which is a restoration facility for juvenile human trafficking survivors. And we got super duper convicted that there needed to be more of these facilities. 83,000 children per month go missing in the United States of America. There are 420 DHS certified beds in the entire country. 83,000 versus 420. And so we got ultra convicted that there needed to be more beds, there needed to be more facilities. And so to that point, we are building Caleb House, which is our restoration facility. And after we build Caleb House 1, I'll build Caleb House 3 and 17 and 86 and 297. I want to be the McDonald's of restoration facilities until we work ourselves out of a job, until we don't have to do this anymore. And so what we do through Caleb House is we go rescue and restore victims, juvenile victims of human trafficking and sex crimes, and then put them in a controlled, secure environment where they get all the treatment, all the help that they need. We meet all of their needs and begin the process of putting them back together again, so that we're forsaking not the widow and the orphan and breaking these generational curses. 83% of sex offenders were themselves attacked when they were children. Now, at some point, you cross the line of the age of responsibility, and you are now responsible for your actions. And those people, I will put behind bars or in the dirt every opportunity I get. I will repeat that. Those people that are knowingly committing crimes and destroying people's lives, I will put behind bars or in the dirt every opportunity that I'm given. But these children who are having these crimes perpetrated against them, somebody has to put them back together again. And just like we were talking about with the hurricanes, the government's really bad at it. Doesn't mean they don't try, but they're really bad at it. And there's so much red tape in that system. So that's why we're building Caleb House. That's why we're already doing rescue, doing recovery, doing restoration. I don't have the facility built yet, and I've already got a couple dozen people in our care. Praise the Most High. right? Like, these aren't problems, they're just blessings that we're in the process of stewarding, right? And so thank you to every one of you who supports what we do through Caleb House and Grindstone. If you'd like to plug in with that, find out when the upcoming deployments are for disaster relief, or donate to Caleb House, or to get on the newsletter so you can stay informed as to what we're doing with Grindstone and Caleb House, just please visit grindstoneministries.com. And as always, that link is in the description of every video and live stream. And I cannot say it enough. Best audience ever. You guys and girls empower us to go be the hands and feet of the Most High. Whatever it might be that we endeavor to do, we always endeavor to do it in righteousness, whether it's building a single mom a house, or responding to a tornado, or rescuing kids who are being serially raped, or teaching people how to not die, or baptizing people, or whatever it might be, donating over 5,000 copies of the scriptures. Like, that doesn't happen without y'all. So thank you for being a part of the Bear Nation. I freaking love you guys. Like, you guys are the best. I hope you have an awesome Monday. And with that, have a blessed day. Shalom.